welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily enabling platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters the most to you, the entrepreneur. And in year 8, we're taking head-on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sananda Jayaseelan. Tonight, we're bringing you a masterclass for entrepreneurs with one of India's best-known entrepreneurs himself, Harsh Mariwala. I spoke to him about what he feels are the biggest opportunities in the country today for small businesses, how they should tap into that, what he feels should be the role of technology when it comes to reaching newer markets, particularly attracting younger consumers, and also what advice he would have for the viewers of this interview. Take a listen. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on the show on this masterclass for entrepreneurs, whether they're in the FMCG space or otherwise. And it's always a pleasure doing these interviews with you, Mr. Mariwala. And I want to kickstart today's conversation by talking about the fact that given all of your responsibilities at Marico, given, of course, the journey that you've had with Marico, you still felt passionate enough to launch the Ascent Foundation, which is in the not-for-profit space, but is giving back really to, in some sense, to the entrepreneurial ecosystem, building that entrepreneurial ecosystem. Why did you feel the need?
I believe entrepreneurs add a lot of value to all the stakeholders. And when I'm talking of stakeholders, I'm referring to the promoters, to their own employees, to their key associates, to their customers, and finally to the society. And if entrepreneurs can play that role of adding value to all their stakeholders, they create a lot of wealth. And that's a source of wealth creation for the economy to grow. So it's very important that if good entrepreneurs are able to add value to all the stakeholders will benefit, and that will help the economy grow more. India will become far more richer, both financially as well as in terms of the knowledge. So the catalytic role which the entrepreneurs play in this journey is very crucial, and I thought that nobody else is doing this. So can I pioneer this journey in India? That's what made me to begin this journey about 7 years back.
Okay. What really are the biggest opportunities, sitting where you are, that you see for entrepreneurs in India today?
I would say that the whole ecosystem for entrepreneurship and starting a new business has changed dramatically over a period of time. It has improved a lot. There is still a lot of scope to improve, but our endeavor is to go on making improvements in whatever way we can add value to entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of opportunities arising for new entrepreneurs, and these are out of disruptions in technology, in consumer habits. The whole millennial consumer habits are very, very different compared to our habits. And one has seen the likes of Ola, Oyo capitalizing on that. And we are going to see much, much more of millennials driving new business opportunities. And the technology disruptions, actually, the number of technologies which are coming into play, whether it is artificial intelligence, robots, digitization, 3D printing, combination of these technologies also are throwing up a lot of newer opportunities. And on top of that, some of the entry barriers which were present earlier in the ecosystem, like if you are in FMCG or if you wanted to launch products, you had to have a very strong distribution network. You had to have a very big advertising budget. All that has gone down because now you can actually launch a product through the e-commerce channel. You don't need to have a distribution network. You don't need big advertising money. You can do digital marketing.
Sure.
So we've seen emergence of many new entrepreneurs in this space. But I'm saying that the environment is providing a lot of opportunities for innovation,
Sure.
for new entrepreneurs to start businesses.
Sure.
And the key thing is, in addition to that, the whole ecosystem is developing in terms of funders. You have funders who are startup funds, angel funding, venture capitalists, private equity capital. So you have a whole channel of funders which is emerging, which is again making the job of the entrepreneurs easier to enter into business.
So you're using some catchphrases like disruption,
Yes.
technology, of course. And my question to you then is, perhaps do you think that these ecosystems are existing largely in your tier 1 markets? How about tier 3 and tier 4 then?
The entrepreneurs need not come from tier 1 markets. I was told that the promoter of Oyo Rooms is coming from very small town. So, but to succeed, I think you may have to be present in a larger city. I don't think the opportunities are confined to tier 1, but the presence of somebody in a bigger city would enable recruitment of good talent. Okay. It would mean interacting with funders. It would mean interacting with some thought leaders, consultants. So from that point of view, it is better to base oneself not in a very small town, but where all these facilities are available.
Okay, so which brings me to my next question then. What are the challenges, the way you see it, for entrepreneurs in India today? For instance, would you say that someone who's not necessarily in a metro has access to a metro? Do you think that is a concern for you?
I don't think that's a concern, because it's the travel has become much easier, and the communication also is far more seamless. You can have Skype calls, you can interact on email. So I don't think that's a limitation, but I find the limitation at least more at the entrepreneurs end themselves.
Sure.
And some of the challenges they are facing today are relating to people. And that's what we are trying to help entrepreneurs in Assent. All the entrepreneurs, one of the biggest challenges have is how to attract and retain talent. Yeah. So what we would do is we would have seminars on attracting, retaining talent. We would have huddle sessions. We would have what we call mixers, where we would call our Ascent entrepreneurs to attend these events and learn from other specialists how to handle this. Then the whole thing on leadership style, entrepreneurs have to change their leadership style as the business grows. So when you're small, you're doing things. When you're a medium-sized company, you're getting things done. That means there is a complete shift in terms of how you were handling things earlier to what you would be doing when you are a larger or middle-sized company.
Sure.
You have to recruit talent, you have to get it done through them, issues of talent selection, team building, processes of interfunctional coordination, all that would come in. And I think that job of entrepreneur goes on shifting as the business grows. So we make entrepreneurs realize through what we call peer learning networks. We also have knowledge gurus, we have other programs which is basically enriches entrepreneurs' journey and resolves their issues, day-to-day issues. And different set of entrepreneurs will have different challenges. Sure. Some entrepreneurs may not know how to raise funds or where to raise funds, because each way to raise fund, whether it is angel funding or seed funding or private equity or any other, or raising it from banks or going public, it has its own pros and cons. So what we do is we have seminars to offer to our entrepreneurs to say that what are the pros and cons.
Okay.
If you have to make a pitch to raise funds, we also have seminars to train entrepreneurs to make the right pitch, because making a pitch is very important and it needs some degree of training. So these are some of the issues which are faced by entrepreneurs, and if you are able to help them, then we would be doing our bit in terms of making them successful. Okay. But the larger learning for Ascent members is through what we call peer learning platforms. So peer learning platforms are what we call trust groups, and we have about, I think, 40 trust groups in Bombay, and we have about 5 trust groups in Chennai, and we select 10 to 12 entrepreneurs from non-competing industries who would meet every month in a similar sized business, and they would talk about their own set of issues, their own challenges. And normally we recommend that they should meet once a month, and we train them in how to discuss matters in that meetings. So it's a very strong peer learning platform, and our role is catalytic. Okay. We don't even know what they discuss, but the fact that 10 other entrepreneurs are there to listen to you and also not give advice but reflect their views on what challenge you're facing. It acts like overcoming all the, shall I say, blind spots. It can give a lot of advice. It is for you to decide what advice is relevant for you.
Sure. In fact, I have a few more specific questions as
Yes.
far as Assent is concerned, and I noticed
Yeah.
that nearly 10% of all the applicants that you get at the Ascent Foundation, and the women and the entrepreneurs you work with are women entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Not enough is really being done for women entrepreneurs in the country, whether it's funding, mentoring, etc. Why is that crucial for you?
It is very crucial because we want women entrepreneurs to enter business. It's actually a larger issue of Indian society, you know. So whether it is entrepreneurs or women employees, especially at senior levels, because if you are equating entrepreneurs, then you have to equate women at senior levels.
Sure.
And I would say that a similar kind of percentage would emerge. I don't have the exact data. But at senior levels, women entrepreneurs or women managers would be in the range of 10% of the CXO level. So I think it has a lot to do with the Indian society and how the Indian society is promoting women to take more risks, to that this issue of supporting women is whoever can play an important role, one should do. It's a matter of time that 10% will increase to 15-20%, I'm quite sure. It's a journey. You can't change the way a society operates within a short period of time, but I'm quite sure that the contribution of women is over a period of time.
I'm going to slip into a very short break on that note, but much more on this masterclass with Harsh Mariwala coming up in just a short bit. Do stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight, bringing you a very exclusive masterclass with Harsh Mariwala. Data also shows that in India, nearly 90% of all SMEs and small businesses are family owned and run. I noticed that nearly 44% of the applicants and of the members that you have are actually family owned and run businesses. Are there opportunities and challenges that you were talking to us at the beginning of this interview different for family run businesses?
Certainly. Family businesses are a little more complex because there are multiple family members, and depending on how big is the family and how many family members are involved in running the business, the complexities can differ. So a lot will depend on the family itself, how closely aligned the family is in terms of the thinking, the values, the ambition levels within the family members, how much clarity is there in terms of how to manage the business within the family. So the challenges become far more complicated when multiple family members are involved in managing the business. So clearly that needs a different set of looking at it from a different lens, and you can't equate a family managed organization with a professionally managed organization, and issues to do with family, resolution of conflicts, airing opinions, career planning, ambition is something which families have to proactively look at.
Okay. So as part of this Leaders of Tomorrow masterclass, if I were to ask you to talk about one or two things that you specifically want for our viewers to know if they are a part of a family-owned business, in terms of what pitfalls they should look at navigating and what are the opportunities for them?
So I think the biggest, I would say there has to be high degree of openness within a family, and many times because of different generations, one is not able to tell. It may be your own father, but you're not able to tell what you feel because it may upset the parent. It could be something negative in terms of a leadership style of a father. So I think it's very important for the father or the elders to say that I want feedback about. So there has to be high degree of openness within the family. I would say the second thing is trust. So especially in a joint family, again, you need reinforced first to work on trust. And you don't want then in a large family that there are multiple kind of camps there. So I would say the family leader has to drive that within the family, and if need be, you need to specify exactly through a family charter what is the aspiration of the family, what should be happening in terms of entry of new family members, exit of current members, how do you divide wealth, what about the lifestyle in terms of spending. I think these are all issues to be proactively identified and resolved at the family level.
Okay, how about succession planning, Mr. Mariwala? Because 2 to 3 years ago, I think some of India's best known companies pretty much exploded onto the global stage because there was conversations around succession planning. Do you think small businesses in India have managed to get that conversation right?
I would say that a long way to go as far as succession planning is handled proactively in Indian businesses. It is perceived that, especially in a family business, the son will succeed.
Sure.
But that will change as the businesses become more competitive. There would have to be pressure on the business to ensure that the best person manages that business.
Sure.
So that journey will change. There's change in other markets, developed markets. It's a matter of time that will change. One has to look at succession planning proactively. Depending again on the size of the organization, if the organization is large, then it's too risky to not to do succession planning.
Sure.
If the organization is small, the opportunities for succession planning also will be limited, because you may have very limited number of people who would be in the pipeline. But this is something which has to be thought through. There are a lot of uncertainties about each one's lives. So you have to proactively look at how do you build a pipeline, not only at the top, but at senior levels in terms of succession.
Some of the data that I picked up from the Ascent Foundation, and I want to talk about the number of manufacturing companies versus the number of services companies. I understand it's cyclical, but I just want to talk about the larger trend that more attention, more funding seems to be going towards services companies. Well, how's that going to change?
We've seen the contribution of services to the overall GDP growing over a period of time. So that's a reflection of the importance of services. A lot of it was driven by the IT services and some other services which can be leveraged internationally. But services play an important role. I think the key thing for the country to know is what is more important. I think all of them are important. I can't see, I mean, the broad three sectors, agricultural, industry and services, I would say all are important. But if, for example, tourism increases in India, which we should compared to what we can offer, tourism is a huge potential. The service can play a very, very important role in driving tourism, whether it's guide or whether it's transportation or whatever else. So I think let's not get carried away by saying that service should be given more importance. I think all are important, but we can't go into manufacturing if we are not competitive. So we need to identify what is relevant for India to succeed in and build businesses where we have a right to win.
Sure. I very briefly want to talk about the Chennai chapter that you launched last year, and really the success that you've been seeing, not just from Chennai, but from your surrounding areas in the south as well.
So we launched the Chennai chapter a year back, and we wanted not only Chennai entrepreneurs, potential entrepreneurs, but neighboring markets like Madurai, Coimbatore, Erode, to come and attend those events in Chennai. So we have started off well. We have about I think 50 members, but we see it going to 100 members within by the end of this year, and it has got a good base, very good feedback from those who join. So initially we need a certain critical mass for us to succeed in a new city, and the team has worked hard in terms of ensuring that the Chennai chapter starts well, which it has. Now we have to scale it up much more.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what could we see perhaps over the course of the year?
So I think let's look at the next target or the next milestone is 100. But over a period of time, maybe 200-300 members can be there from Chennai chapter.
Sure.
And I would like to speak about the Ascent Conclave, which is a stellar event, which is our very strong property of Ascent Foundation. It's something we've started 3 years back, and we've been doing this for the last 3 years. We have on average 500 to 600 entrepreneurs attending that event. We have phenomenal sessions in terms of speakers, the topics, and a lot of take-home value for those who are in business, those who want to join business. We've had speakers like Uday Kotak, Sajan Jindal, Rajiv Bajaj, who come in as keynote speakers. And we've got very good ratings, and we get a rating from all those who attend the event. And for the last 3 years, our ratings have been above 4, in the range of 4 to 4.2.
Sure.
And we have our next conclave coming up in the month of November, on 21st November, at the Grand Hyatt, Bombay. And we would want all the current employers, potential employers to take that opportunity to attend our event, and I can assure you that it'll be a lot of take-home value. One would interact a lot with other entrepreneurs, so there is a lot of learning, interacting, and it's a phenomenal opportunity to network and learn from each other.
I very briefly want to talk to you about what's happening in the economy. A new conversation with someone of your stature is going to be complete without addressing what's really going on in India right now. The RBI is saying they were surprised by the 5% growth figure. The FM on the other hand saying, hey, India is doing well if you compare it with what's happening across the globe. What side of the argument are you on?
I don't think I'm on any side. All I can say is that the overall GDP numbers reflect that the growth has slowed down. In our sector, the growth also has slowed down from a volume growth of last year of about 7-8% to this year. We expect, depending on how the second, third, fourth quarter pan out, but definitely lower than last year's growth rate.
Sure.
So there is an impact of overall consumer demand.
Mr. Mariwala, we love hearing from you and asking you every time we meet with you about if there was one piece of advice that you had for our entrepreneurs, what would it be? And I want to end my interview on that note.
I would say, people say passion is very important to succeed. I would say passion is important, but in addition to passion, you need perseverance and determination. And if you just have passion and don't have perseverance and determination, you may just give up if there is a certain setback or a failure. So the word for passion combined with determination and perseverance is grit. So I would say grit is far more important than passion. Grit includes passion, but passion by itself is not enough. You need to move towards grit, which means passion combined with determination and perseverance.
All right. On that note, thank you so much for your time here on Leaders of Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, that concludes this masterclass with Harsh Mariwala. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details up on your screens in just a second. Do let us know. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.